All right, hey everybody, this is John, and welcome to the premium video. So we've got something that we haven't seen in weeks, and that is a break below the low of the high bar. So from this day here, we had the gap up, the gap away move. We had a sell-off this day, but we closed above, sell off, closed above, gap, didn't break below, we traded below, closed above, closed above, closed above, closed above, blah, blah, blah. And then finally, this is our first day where we've actually had a close below the low of the high bar. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 sessions. So that's a pretty remarkable move. And we had a similar move on the downside here where we couldn't break above anything like that. So this is our first sell signal in this move. And it's something to be aware of. I think at the very least, we come back into kind of this green pocket zone. You've got the 21 EMA sitting right here at 68.45. You always test the 21 EMA. The 21 EMA may come up to it, of course, but I think if you're looking at the 8 and 13, that's a pretty solid bet. Of course, everybody was talking about, oh, there was news today. There's news every day. There's news every day. So we're focused on the technical part. Here we have the technical buy signal, and here we have the technical sell signal. And it's just a good place to kind of, tighten stops on any longs that you've had and all the fun things here. If we look at the NDX, a very similar move. It held up a little bit better today. And in fact, I think we did it looks like we got maybe it's just right on there. Maybe it's not quite a close below. So no official sell signal there yet, but obviously a similar pattern. And then from there, let's just take a quick look at the Mag 7, and then we'll look at some of the larger asset classes. For the Mag 7, Tesla, of course, a laggard here. It's had a nice move up to its 200 SMA. It certainly contributed a lot. This thing, moved $60, and so it's contributed a lot to the rally, but certainly hasn't gotten anything going. And then we got kind of all eyes on Tesla coming up tomorrow with earnings. So that'll keep things fairly interesting. Meta, which has had a pretty good move, but has only come up to its 200 SMA, similar to Tesla. So not a lot of contributions here. Microsoft, huge move here, but again, well below that 200. Imagine if these things actually got their act together. NVIDIA, essentially moving with the market. I would say that NVIDIA in the market, slightly lagging because it's not making new all-time highs with the NASDAQ, but it's pretty close behind. Not a drag, not leading or anything like that. Google's the same way, not making new all-time highs, but certainly close enough for government work. Apple, not making new all-time highs, but not necessarily a laggard. And that's kind of the quick scoop there. So you had Micron up there near its highs. AVGO, of course, up there near its highs. And then you've got stocks that are breaking out. SanDisk is a good example of this, where it's just kind of off and running. So we're seeing that with a lot of stocks. And it's a broad-based rally, but with very few making new all-time highs, which is kind of interesting. From there, what I want to take a look at are just some of the major asset classes. And for oil, of course, oil has been all over the news. 120 is kind of the real fear factor level, meaning that if we actually would get a weekly close above 120, we're going to 170, because a close above 170 or above 120 would indicate like real world panic about global supply shortages versus just traders trying to do momentum or something like that. So we're kind of back down here at a healthy level. $90 oil is certainly more manageable than 120. The question is, do things kind of normalize back to between 70 and 80? That's yet to be seen. For the dollar index here, not a huge amount of movement here. The dollar's in an area where it's pretty good for the global economy. It can go lower, and that's even better, but it's in a comfortable place. Taking a look at interest rates, this really is kind of the big doozy here to keep an eye on. And we're getting this bear flag in place. And so if bonds here break lower, that's interest rates higher and vice versa. So this is one to keep an eye on, simply because interest rates have had such a powerful, they're having such a kind of a powerful force on what's going on there. Okay, so that being said, I want to come back here now and let's look at a couple of weekly charts. So Apple, I was kind of interested here, is that Apple's got an ideal squeeze in place. And so we're also coming up to Apple earnings. And what I like about this is just the idea that maybe we kind of sell off into the pocket here with a squeeze, and then does this turn into some really interesting kind of an earnings play? One thing I have noticed, and I've mentioned this before, I don't know though if this is going to make a huge impact on their earnings. Myself, a couple of friends, almost everybody I know that's kind of diving into AI, that have ordered Mac Minis or Mac Studios, like we're going to get them in August. So I don't think they actually book the revenue until they ship. So there's that. But that certainly would add, if that's something that's happening like broadly across the board, that's something that would use to raise their guidance. So it's kind of interesting. It may not have a material impact on a company that sells 50 million iPhones a quarter, but certainly you can see an explosion there. And I don't know how much of it's demand-based or shortage-based. It's, obviously demand is what creates the shortage there. But I thought that was super interesting. And then also on the weekly perspective there, if we are taking a look at SPX, you can see there's a weekly squeeze here as well. So what does that mean in the context of all this is that, any pullbacks here are buying opportunities. The idea here that is this going to be like a double top and we fall apart and, all the things. I mean, this was a pretty bullish move. So certainly it is time for it to catch its breath and all the things there. Some of the stocks that we're just wrapping up with our Squeeze Ultra class. We've had a couple of fun ones there. MRVL, this was a trade, pretty classic one. And this is something where, a lot of times people get tripped up on this, is that we were looking at a trade earlier on the daily, but then what happens when it gets up here is it just kind of out of reach. And the answer to that is it's not. You just kind of drop down to, an hourly chart, or in this case, a 78-minute chart. I use the 78-minute chart just as kind of to me, it's kind of like the hourly chart. The hourly chart, though, the cash session's 360 minutes. So if you're using an hourly chart, you've got 6 1-hour bars, and you got this half-hour bar. So, it's a little lopsided. But with a 78-minute chart, you have 5 equal bars. So I don't think it's a big deal which one you use, but a lot of people ask, like, why are you using a 78-minute chart? That's why. Okay, so MRVL is extended on the daily, right? And it's like you can't buy it anymore, but you have the 78-minute Squeeze Ultra, so it could be the hourly as well. And remember, within the context of that, when I see a 78-minute squeeze like this, I don't want a daily chart that looks like it's embarrassed to be alive. So this is a snapshot that I did earlier during the class. So when I see this, I want to see the yes portion. I want to see a stock that's been on a tear, that is overbought, okay, that is for all practical purposes extended, because it's telling you there's a lot of demand for the stock and it's just taking a mere breather here, okay? If I saw a 78-minute squeeze and I looked over on the daily chart and we're doing this, I'm not touching that squeeze with a 10-foot pole. Okay, that's a huge distinction. And it was a good question. It's like, well, why? There's a lot of 78-minute squeezes out there. Which one are you going to take? I'm not. It's absolutely designed for comfortable entries into momentum type vehicles. So anyway, and this is what, back in when I'd had my bigger trades like on Tesla and stuff like that too, that's exactly what I was doing. And so that's why this was developed, is so that we could actually have more of a, hey, how do you know that this is something that you should do in this situation? All right. So anyway, I hope that helps. All right. And last but not least, super excited to talk about this. So Allison, who I've known for, 6 or 7 years now, and then Heather, who has been working with me for the last year, just kind of helping me keep everything organized, and all of the, she already came in as a proficient trader and was like, hey, she's also extremely organized and helping me put together this daily newsletter and all the stuff. And they're both very, very phenomenal at this niche idea of a small account and managing it and growing it and doing it in ways where there's not only a lot of creativity involved, but the amount of risk to reward is always skewed towards the high side. Whereas I will tend to sometimes do trades where it's like, okay, if this works, it's going to be great. But if it doesn't, it's going to hurt. They don't do that. They're like, if it doesn't work, it's going to be, incredibly manageable. So I really respect that, because it really ties into kind of that small account goal and pathos of like, look, let's get those steady wins, some occasionally really nice wins, but it's just, knocking it out with a low stress situation. So they're going to be talking about growing small accounts in 1 hour a day with the set it and forget it 0 DTX trades. And they're going to be doing a free event here on Wednesday, April 22nd at 6 o'clock Central. If you just toss in your email, they'll come in here. So this 15-minute strategy of Allison's really cool. It's been super popular. If you don't know what that is, or you need some refresher on that, she'll talk about that. Rules-based framework that removes emotion. This is a big thing for small accounts. A lot of times with small accounts, people are like, oh my God, if I don't, if this doesn't work, it's the end of my life. So ways to manage the emotions. How Heather rebuilt her account with only $2,000 after being forced to liquidate using the same structured, repeatable approach. She's learned a lot of discipline, and frankly, it's something where what's great is when you see something like this, it's just the reminder of really, if you come in here with a plan and the discipline, how fast you can recover something like that, which is great. And then using Heather's set it and forget it trades that have produced a 71% win rate and up to 300% returns, why these small account trades remain consistent in many markets, and why some of the best traders intentionally have no trade days, and how to protect your capital. I remember the first time that Allison came into the office, and this was 6 or 7 years ago. She had reached out and said, hey, I'm interested, could I come work for you guys? And I had a busy day and I wasn't expecting much, frankly. I was just like, okay, options, awesome. And so I kind of threw her a couple of curveball questions, and the answer she gave me, I had to actually say, look, can you say that again? Because it was such an advanced, creative answer for someone who understood options better than I did at that point. And so I was super, super, super impressed by that. And then with Heather, it was one of those where, kind of a trial by fire, where it's like, hey, look, I'm super busy right now, but I just need some help. And can you help me with, here's some ideas I have. And she's like, great. And literally came back with this incredibly polished, professional kind of newsletter format with all the key things that I look at every day, but just didn't have time to do it myself because I got to log into all these different places. And I was like, and it kind of took me aback in both situations. I shouldn't be surprised when I meet extreme competence, but I was surprised because a lot of times when you ask someone who approaches you like at a trade show or something like that, I'd like to do that, and you never hear from them again. But not only did they do what they were saying they were going to do, they knocked it out of the park like a grand slam home run, and that always impresses me. And it's just like, wow, this is a person that's really got their act together. Anyway, that was a long way of saying you guys are going to really, really enjoy what they have to say. All right, y'all have a great rest of your evening, and we'll see you at the next update.